Chapter 21, Little Treasure makes a ruckus at the palace. Little Treasure loved his silence. He would normally hide in his room by himself when he was done eating. The household staff had to return their rooms immediately after completing their tasks. They couldn't make any sound or it would disturb Little Treasure, making him irritable or even lose control. Madame Lu had previously sent some snacks to his room, worried that he wasn't eating enough. But Little Treasure locked himself up in the attic. Thus, no matter how much their parents loved Little Treasure, they didn't dare to move in with Ting Xiao and Jing Li. Yet Little Treasure had actually taken the initiative to come out. Not only that, but Little Treasure ran towards Lu Ting Xiao and hugged his leg. Lu Jing Li laughed out loud. "Little Treasure, what are you doing? Hugging for some allowance?" Lu Ting Xiao lowered his head to look at his son and was able to tell what he wanted in a single glance. He rejected it without any hesitation. "No, you already went over last night." Thus Little Treasure's gaze landed on his phone. "You already called once during dinner." Lu Ting Xiao rejected him again. Lu Jing Li finally understood after watching from the side. The little guy missed Ning Xi. Seeing that he couldn't persuade his father, Little Treasure trotted over to Lu Jing Li and reused the same move. He clung onto his uncle's legs. Lu Jing Li was overwhelmed by the honor. No, precious, don't use this move with me. You know that your uncle can't stand up to your cuteness." Little Treasure usually looked dazed. The moment he wanted to plead for something, his little expression and presence could make you die of cuteness and then revive. He tilted his small head and used that pair of big, beautiful, shining star-like eyes to look. One wouldn't be able to resist plucking all the stars from the sky to give to him. The only one in the family who could resist this move would be Lu Ting Xiao. Lu Jing Li shrugged helplessly. "There's no use in acting cute with me, Little Treasure, I can't win your dad." Little Treasure immediately let go of Lu Jing Li. Absolutely cold-hearted. Lu Jing Li held onto the wall and laughed non-stop, seeing the little guy looking as if he had been beaten black and blue by his parents. "Ah, you actually don't have to be this anxious, Little Treasure. There's an old phrase, if the love between couples is true, then absence will only make the heart grow fonder. Wait until your dad marries Xiao Xi auntie. Then you'll be able to see her every day." His persuasion failed. The little guy trotted to the door, slammed it open and ran out. Pub future ads. Lu Jing Li shrugged. "What should we do?" "He ate a lot tonight," Lu Ting Xiao said. The meaning in his words was that Little Treasure could currently not use the absolute tactic, a hunger strike. Lu Jing Li calmed down after hearing his brother say so. However, they had really underestimated Little Treasure. He was a child. He didn't need any tactics or plans. He only needed to make a ruckus. A huge bang sounded from the living room as they had just finished speaking. Lu Jing Li exchanged gazes with his brother and the two hurried downstairs. The living room downstairs had already been trashed within such a short amount of time. An ancient flower vase in the corner that was as tall as a person had already been pushed to the floor and shattered. Everything that could be pushed over or broken had already met a similar fate. Lu Qingyu. Lu Ting Xiao would only call Little Treasure's full name when he was truly angry. Even Lu Jing Li couldn't stand that frightful presence once it was released, let alone Little Treasure. Little Treasure started shaking, scared by his father's dreadful expression. His emotions got even more out of control. He screamed at the top of his lungs as he ran everywhere, breaking everything he could get his hands on. Lu Jing Li hastily followed closely behind, yet he didn't dare to follow too closely. The consequences would be terrible if they accidentally fell, since there were so many shards on the ground. Chapter 22, Calling in Emergency Support. "Brother, we can't go on like this. Just ask Ning Xi to come over." "No need." Lu Ting Xiao rejected the idea coldly. Lu Jing Li earnestly tried to sway him. "Brother, Little Treasure is just a child, not one of your subordinates. You're being too harsh on him. What's the problem with spoiling him a little?" All children have times where they're stubborn or cause trouble. It's not your place to interfere with how I educate my child. Liu Tingxiao's face was frosty. It seemed that he was determined not to let little treasure get used to the bad habit of throwing a tantrum to get what he wanted. Liu Jingli was feeling awkward being trapped between this pair of father and son. This was such a headache. If things worsened to the point that their parents would hear about it, the matter of him taking little treasure to a bar would be completely exposed once they started investigating. Gods, please send someone to save him. When Liu Tingxiao went to capture little treasure, Liu Jingli hurriedly found his phone and secretly called Ning Xi. At night, Ning Xi was at home reading a script while half-heartedly chatting with someone online. Corrupted Devil King, little Ning Xi, can't you change your outdated QQ name? It hurts the eyes. My lonely empty loss, so Corrupted Devil King doesn't hurt the eyes? You don't feel embarrassed scolding me? Corrupted Devil King, cough, I'm coming back to China next month, come pick me up at the airport. My lonely empty loss, not going, not free. Corrupted Devil King, pick me up. My lonely empty loss, I already said I'm not free. Corrupted Devil King, are you coming or not? My lonely empty loss, the person you're contacting doesn't want to talk and throws a dog over. Corrupted Devil King, the person you're contacting screws your dog. My lonely empty loss, the dog feels that it's been violated by a needle. Corrupted Devil King. How are you even more nasty than I am? Also, who are you saying has a needle? My lonely empty loss, you're the one who started acting dirty, I'm not wasting any more time with you. I still have to read my script. Corrupted Devil King, it's just a small supporting female lead role, what's there to look at? We used to have feelings for each other, are you really going to be so heartless? Pub Future ads. My lonely empty loss, there are tons of people who used to be together with me, what number are you? Corrupted Devil King, little Ning Xi. You just wait for Lao Zi. Ning Xi closed her laptop and wholeheartedly started studying her script. After reading for a while, her cell phone suddenly sounded. It was an unfamiliar number. She was worried that it was the drama crew calling, so she picked up the call immediately. Hello, Ning Xi. Save me. You are. I'm Liu Jingli, come quickly to the Platinum Palace, something's happened to little treasure. What? What happened to little treasure? Ning Xi's heart immediately tightened. It's extremely urgent, come over quickly, hurry. BB brother, calm down. He's still young. Little treasure, you can't smash that. Ah. Liu Jingli made it sound so serious, and with the sounds of things falling and smashing coming from the phone, Ning Xi became even more tense. She hurriedly changed as she said, I'm coming over immediately. Even she didn't know what had happened to her. As soon as she heard something had happened to little treasure, she couldn't sit still anymore. She had only known him for several days, yet he was already in her heart and she couldn't let him go. This place was pretty far from Platinum Palace and taking a taxi would take at least 40 minutes. Ning Xi was worried that something would happen if she took too long, so she pushed her motorcycle out and blazed off towards Platinum Palace. Ning Xi only took 10 minutes to make the 40-minute trip. Liu Jingli had most likely notified the security guards, as they let her in as soon as she gave her name. There was already a maid waiting to bring her in when she arrived outside Villa number 8. Chapter 23, Picking a Fight with the Boss in Rage. Support the translator by reading Hidden Marriage on Volari Translations. Ning Xi wore black skin-tight leather pants to make it easier to ride the bike. She took off her helmet and gloves after she rushed over hurriedly. Her long hair fell onto her shoulders like a waterfall and her whole person looked unrestrained and handsome. She was unbelievably beautiful. Liu Jingli almost couldn't hold back his whistle watching her entrance. Liu Qingyu, do you really think I don't dare to touch you? Liu Tingxiao trapped his son in a corner of the living room. He caught him in one movement. The little guy was struggling fiercely in his hands like an extremely angry little beast, frantically waving his soft little arms. Don't! Ning Xi rushed over upon seeing the situation and snatched away Little Treasure. Little Treasure's expression went dazed for a second as he tilted his head up and looked at the newcomer. Then his big eyes reddened as he buried his head in Ning Xi's embrace, refusing to let go no matter what. Ning Xi's heart ached fiercely as she saw the little bun that had been so cute, soft, and lovely yesterday with fear in his eyes and his body trembling. She could no longer care that her opponent was the fearsome big boss once her temper had been raised. She fired off words like a machine gun. Mr. Lu, I know that I don't have the right to say anything as an outsider. I really want to say something though, there's a huge problem with the way you're raising him. Children need warmth when they're this small. Furthermore, Little Treasure's situation is a little special. He's been through a huge fright and he doesn't have a mother by his side. How can you be this fierce towards him? You should be more patient and forgiving with him. Didn't you see how scared he was? You were even going to raise a hand against him. Lu Ting Xiao, it was my fault. Lu Jingli, haha. Pub Future Ads. Lu Jingli's expression was full of joy upon hearing his own brother admitting his fault this readily. You showed me a black face when I told you there was something wrong with your education method. Yet you accepted it so obediently when Ning Xi said it. Little Treasure was like a little puppy that had found its owner ever since Ning Xi had come. He let Ning Xi lead him back to his room obediently. A totally different person from the little lion cub that had been going crazy earlier. Ning Xi patted Little Treasure's head reassuringly. What happened today? Wasn't he doing just fine this morning? Lu Jingli sighed. What else could it be? Little Treasure missed you and wanted to meet with you or call you. Afraid that he'd be disturbing you, my brother wouldn't let him do either of those things. So that resulted in Little Treasure causing a ruckus, running all over and breaking everything in the living room. My brother doesn't want to condone such bad habits, so the two were at a stalemate when you came in. This was all because he wasn't allowed to meet me or call me. Ning Xi found it a little hard to believe. Lu Ting Xiao had told her that Little Treasure was quite reliant on her right now. But she didn't think she had this much impact on him. What else did you think? You're seriously underestimating your influence. Lu Jingli brought up one example after another, seeing that she still didn't understand. Remember that day in the storeroom? Little Treasure refused to let anyone touch you when you fainted. It was my brother who personally carried you to the hospital in the end. Ning Xi subconsciously glanced at Lu Ting Xiao. Lu Ting Xiao had personally carried her to the hospital? Little Treasure thought you had died when he woke up in the hospital and saw that you weren't there. He immediately went on a rampage and nearly jumped out the window. He had only calmed down when my brother gave him the note that you had left. Little Treasure used a hunger strike to force my brother to bring him to meet you last night. As for tonight, he ate too much because of your call. He couldn't use his all-powerful hunger strike, so he came up with this. Ate too much? She did tell Little Treasure to eat more in the call tonight. So was this her fault now? Chapter 24, Hulawa Hulawa. Support the translator by reading Hidden Marriage on Volari Translations. Lu Jingli had crammed too much information into his speech just now. It took Ning Xi a long time to digest it all. She looked at the little bun sticking closely to her side. Little Treasure, did you break all those things just because you wanted to see me? Little Treasure nodded. Ning Xi frowned. Did you know it's wrong to do that? Little Treasure shook his head. Ning Xi finally realized why Lu Ting Xiao was so strict. This child was most likely overly spoiled at home and thought that it was a matter of course that everything should follow his will. Ning Xi's gaze turned stern. Then Auntie is going to tell you. What you did was wrong, that's what bad children do. You can't do that anymore, understand? Little Treasure nodded. It was hard to describe the expression on Lu Ting Xiao's face. Although Little Treasure was unruly, he would keep to his word as long as he had agreed to something. The psychiatrist had tried all sorts of methods to cure Little Treasure's bad habits. Habits such as hunger strikes, locking himself up and even destruction to get his way. However, Little Treasure had never given in. The two elders were too soft-hearted to try more forceful methods. They had only persisted halfway before giving up and following his will every time Little Treasure had thrown a tantrum. Ning Xi's impact on Little Treasure was greater than he had imagined. Of course, he was happy regarding this point. Ning Xi then tried to coax him to sleep after she had finished setting down rules for him. In a soft tone, how about a new song for today? Little Treasure obediently nodded his head. She coughed several times. Let me think of what to sing, right? Hulawa hulawa, 7 flowers grow on a branch, not afraid even in a storm, la 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 la. Liu Jingli had been leaning against the door and almost fell. How could Little Treasure like such childish songs with his level of intelligence? He then found out that the little guy was listening blissfully. Even funnier was that his dear brother was also listening blissfully. Ning Xi stretched after finally coaxing Little Treasure to sleep. I'm almost done singing all the children's songs I've learned in my lifetime. Liu Jingli was dumbfounded. Why do you have to sing children's songs? It's fine if you sing something else. All these children's songs are killing me. Ning Xi used the rubber band on her wrist to tie up her hair casually. Her bright phoenix eyes raised slightly. Other songs? Other than children's songs, all the songs I know aren't appropriate for children. The memory of her singing under the moonlight appeared in Liu Tingxiao's mind after she had finished speaking. Liu Jingli was excited upon hearing that. Ha ha ha, really, really? Which songs? Sing a few for me. Pub future ads. Liu Tingxiao casually tossed a glance over. Liu Jingli immediately stood up straight out of fright. His brother was too petty. You were nearby just now? Liu Tingxiao asked. Otherwise how could she have reached this quickly? No, I was in my apartment. I sped over here on the motorbike. Fast, right? Ning Xi was proud. No wonder she was dressed like this. Her outfit was even more stunning than yesterday. She had seemed like a conservative little fairy yesterday, but now she was like a wild and free demoness. It's very dangerous. Liu Tingxiao's face was full of disapproval. He turned his cold gaze towards Liu Jingli, who had been the one to call Ning Xi of his own accord. It's nothing, I'm good at riding. Ning Xi waved her hands nonchalantly. She then yawned, I'll make a move first since Little Treasure is fine now. Liu Tingxiao suddenly spoke up as she was preparing to leave. Miss Ning, I have a presumptuous request. Since she had already expended her rage, Ning Xi immediately returned to her normal self. She respectfully said, Mr. Liu, please feel free to make your request. I'll try to comply as long as it's within my abilities. The Liu family also held an authoritative power in the underground. Demon King Liu was someone who would strike with just one disagreeable word. Liu Tingxiao looked at his son lying in his room with a solemn expression. Little Treasure has been affected a lot more than I had imagined. He was accidentally locked in the storeroom at the bar last time. I hope that Miss Ning can move in with us to stay for a period of time since it's only you that can calm him down now. Only until Little Treasure's emotional state has recovered. Ning Xi was stunned after hearing Liu Tingxiao's words. Ha? Move in here, to stay. TL note, the chapter title is from the theme song from a Chinese children's cartoon, Calabash Brothers. Hulawa equals Calabash Baby. XD. Chapter 25, Living Together Just Like That? Support the translator by reading Hidden Marriage on Volari Translations. Yes. Ning Xi scratched her head, feeling awkward. Isn't this a little inappropriate? I can come over at any time if Little Treasure wants to see me. Liu Tingxiao massaged his brow tiredly. There are too many unknown factors, especially at night. It would be too dangerous if we had an emergency situation, and you sped over here on your bike again. With my identity, it's not convenient to keep bringing little treasure over to visit either. I know this request puts you on the spot. As little treasure's father, I would still like to make this request of you. I hope you can agree. Ning Xi started to feel a headache coming on. She would definitely have turned and left if Liu Tingxiao had used his power to force her into it. However, he was not using his identity in the slightest, he was instead sincerely pleading her. It was hard for her to reject it when facing such an exceedingly handsome face. Liu Jingli was watching his dear brother with eyes of admiration. Too amazing! He didn't think that his brother would use such a high-end technique. Turning a disadvantage into an advantage, he opened up a road on the path to capturing Ning Xi's heart. Little Treasure's existence turned into his greatest support instead of becoming an obstacle. It was at this moment that Little Treasure jumped out of bed with a frightened expression, knocking over the bedside lamp with a bang. The fear in the little guy's eyes only faded after he saw Ning Xi. He shot over to her leg like an arrow. The extreme fear in those eyes would make anyone's heart ache for him. Ning Xi hurriedly crouched down. "Darling, why did you wake up?" The little guy buried his head into her embrace, his soft and tiny arms wrapped around her neck in a death grip. "Shhhh, Auntie's here. Don't be afraid," Ning Xi patted his back lightly. The distinct sweet scent unique to children wafted up from his body. This threw Ning Xi's emotions into turmoil. She was obviously used to avoiding little kids, but why was she unable to hate Little Treasure? Ning Xi could only coax Little Treasure back to sleep again. She then stepped lightly out of the room, closing the door. She saw that the servants had already cleaned up the mess downstairs, leaving a pristine living room. As expected of the Liu family's servants. Not only were they fast and efficient, they were very well trained. All of them were very curious about Ning Xi's arrival. Though not a single one dared to take a second look at her, much less gossip. They left quietly the moment they finished their tasks. Seeing that she had come out of the room, Liu Tingxiao watched her silently, not saying a word or adding any pressure on her. Ning Xi looked hesitant, but her heart turned soft when thinking of the way Little Treasure had clung onto the corner of her clothes without letting go. She took a deep breath before saying, "Okay, Mr. Liu. I accept your request. Just take it as payment for how Little Treasure saved me the last time." Pub Future Ads. Liu Tingxiao relaxed, "Thank you. Little Treasure might wake up at any moment. I think I won't be able to leave tonight, but all my things are still in my apartment." Ning Xi was troubled. "No problem, I'll send someone to collect them for you." Liu Tingxiao sent orders to the steward and made arrangements even as he was talking. Liu Jingli, who had not been able to interject at all from start to finish, looked at the proceedings in a dazed state. They were living together just like that. Anything else? Liu Tingxiao glanced towards Liu Jingli. "I'm leaving now." The third wheel, who was being disdained by his dear brother, immediately left. He had thought that Ning Xi was a fearsome opponent, but his brother wasn't a weakling either. He now knew that his brother didn't lack any skill in chasing women. It was just that he hadn't removed his seal in the past 32 years. Liu Tingxiao escorted Ning Xi to a room right next to Little Treasure's bedroom. "You'll stay here from now onwards. I'll get someone to redecorate it in the style you like later on." Ning Xi hurriedly waved away the offer. No need. I'm only staying for a few days, redecorating would be too troublesome." "It's no trouble at all." Liu Tingxiao received a large ring of keys from the steward, then passed it to her. "These are the house keys. You can enter any place you like. The main door is locked by a password, which is 591,414. This key is for the attic, you must keep it carefully. Little Treasure likes to take the key and hide in the attic sometimes. This key is..." Seeing that Liu Tingxiao had handed over every key except the one to his safe, Ning Xi hurriedly interrupted, Wait. Mr. Liu, Aren't you being too relaxed with me? You're not afraid that I'll steal everything in your house? What do you want? I'll get someone to help you move it. Lu Tingxiao said in all seriousness. It seemed like he wasn't joking around. Chapter 26, Ning Xi, we have long days ahead of us. Support the translator by reading Hidden Marriage on Volari Translations. Ning Xi coughed a few times. She had been completely defeated by Lu Tingxiao. She hurriedly tried to explain, I was only joking, it was just a joke. Lu Tingxiao seemed to have gotten hooked on giving away keys. He casually tossed her another, it's not easy to call a cab from here. It's inconvenient for you to travel to work. Take this car to use. Ning Xi. Why? Why was it that she had a feeling of being kept even though she was only staying for a short period of time? No, if she were being kept, then she should be kept hidden outside. What kind of sugar daddy would entrust all the keys of the main residence, and their son to her? This was clearly the feeling of being a newlywed couple. She suddenly thought of how Lu Tingxiao had abruptly proposed to her the first time they had met. She was confident enough to claim that she understood men, but the man in front of her was like a computer system with the highest grade firewall. She could not see through him at all. She didn't know if agreeing to stay due to one moment of weakness was going to be fortune or disaster. Little Treasure was in a bad state tonight. Ning Xi accompanied Little Treasure to sleep on his small bed just in case. In the late night, the room door was pushed open silently. A man walked in with light footsteps and sat down at the foot of the bed. Under the warm glow of the bedside lamp, a woman was sleeping. She had stopped in the middle of patting Little Treasure, her breathing shallow, expression warm. Her soft lips were like cherry blossoms blooming in summer, slightly open like an unspoken invitation. After a moment, a dark shadow abruptly fell over the warm patch of light as the man's silhouette drew closer and closer to those pink. He was close enough to feel her breathing. As he could reach out to take his prize with just the slightest movement, he suddenly forced himself to stop. A cool kiss landed on the woman's forehead. Ning Xi, we have long days ahead of us. The next morning, Ning Xi had thought that she wouldn't sleep well on a strange bed, but she had an unexpectedly good night. She had continued sleeping until she woke up naturally, without even a dream to break the peace. Pub Future Ads. She found that Little Treasure was already awake when she woke up. The little guy was currently sitting next to her, earnestly reading a book without making a sound. He was clearly this well-behaved, yet you really couldn't imagine how the little bun was when he exploded. Good morning darling. Ning Xi sat up with the blanket and greeted him warmly. Little Treasure immediately raised his head in surprise. Although he didn't say anything and his expression didn't change, Ning Xi could tell that he was in a good mood from his expressive eyes. Finding it funny, Ning Xi flicked away a stray hair from Little Bun's forehead. Auntie doesn't have work today. I can accompany you at home for the whole day. Hearing so, the little guy clearly became even happier. He even slightly raised the corner of his mouth. Ning Xi's heart almost bled out of cuteness. She couldn't resist grabbing his little cheeks and rubbing, darling, smile more, you're too cute when you smile. After washing up, they headed downstairs to find breakfast already prepared. Ning Xi didn't see Lu Tingxiao. The steward and servants did not mention needing to wait for him to eat, so Ning Xi deduced that he had already headed to work. After breakfast, Ning Xi had been a little worried on how to take care of a child. What would she do if she didn't take care of him properly? However, all her worries came to nothing. In the morning, she read a script while camped on the sofa. Little Treasure was sprawled out on the table at the side, either reading or drawing. The two of them did not bother each other and got along harmoniously. The servants only appeared once to deliver snacks and fruits with extremely light movements, as if afraid of disturbing him. It seemed that Little Treasure normally preferred silence. Chapter 27, Fauvism. In the corner, the old steward was currently watching the pair of adult and child in the living room. He found that Ning Xi had not tried to get closer to the little young master at all, but had focused on reading her scripts the whole morning. The little young master had passed his time like usual, reading books or drawing. It looked like there was nothing out of the ordinary, but upon closer observation, you could see that he would sneak a peek at Ning Xi from time to time. The expression on his face was both lively and at peace. The old steward had felt rather anxious from his first look at Ning Xi, afraid that the eldest young master was being tricked by her, perhaps due to her exceptionally beautiful looks. From his observations thus far, she seemed somewhat safe, but she might just be waiting for the right moment to strike. There were so many women eyeing the position of MRSLU and trying to think of all sorts of ways to become Little Treasure's stepmother. There had even been a terrible event 2 years ago, almost causing little young master to. He had been on tenterhooks since seeing how the eldest young master trusted her and how the second young master was not stopping him. Even little young master seemed to like that woman a lot, so he couldn't help but to keep his guard up. 2 hours had already passed unknowingly. When Ning Xi was almost done with reading the script, Little Treasure had already finished his drawing and had trotted over to show it to her. Ning Xi lifted her head to look, and her face was filled with surprise. This drawing is of me. She really couldn't tell from Little Treasure's quiet appearance that his drawing style would actually be Fauvism. Fauvism was characterized by the use of vibrant and heavy colors, straightforward and coarse brush strokes, to create an intense picture to express your innermost thoughts. Although the person drawn in this picture looked somewhat strange, the drawing had accurately captured the characteristics of the person, so Ning Xi could recognize at one glance that the subject was herself. Little Treasure nodded while hugging the picture. He looked a little nervous, worried that she wouldn't like it. This is simply amazing. Can I take a picture of this for my phone wallpaper? Ning Xi wasn't purposely trying to compliment Little Treasure, she actually liked Fauvism herself. She especially liked the strong contrast in colors. Looking at Little Treasure's drawing with a basic understanding of art appreciation, his standard was already at the level of a great master. Pub Future ads. Little Treasure pressed his lips together shyly and shoved the drawing into her hands. Ning Xi pointed at herself, for me. Little Treasure nodded. Thank you. I love it so much. Ning Xi hugged the little bun and placed a kiss on his soft cheeks. The little bun was stunned for a moment before his face was covered in a fierce blush. His usually dazed eyes looked even more lively. The pair of adult and child were warmly interacting when Ning Xi heard footsteps from overhead. She raised her head to look towards the direction of the sound and saw Liu Tingxiao with casual home clothes and messy bed hair walking down lazily from the stairs. Although Liu Tingxiao usually looked mesmerizing, the gap between his current slovenly appearance and his normal appearance was too huge, resulting in a killer charm. He was so sexy there was no cure for it. Ning Xi was dazed for quite a while before she could react. Mr. Liu, you're not working today. Wasn't it Monday today? I'm resting today. Liu Tingxiao nodded. Ning Xi thought for a moment before realization hit. He had just spent a lot of time and effort to sign a huge deal, so having a good rest was normal. So Big Boss Liu was also the kind to sleep in. She inexplicably felt closer to him. Chapter 28, Domineering CEO. It's the first time Little Treasure has drawn a human portrait. Liu Tingxiao commented after glimpsing the portrait in Ning Xi's hands. Really? Then it's quite the honor. Ning Xi was very happy. What do you want to eat in the afternoon? Liu Tingxiao asked. He was seemingly prepared to feed her in addition to staying here. Ning Xi was about to speak up when her phone suddenly rang. It was from Chong Li. Did she arrange another bit role for her? Hello, Chong Ji. Ning Xi, Land Under Heaven, is holding an opening ceremony at the Grand Pearl Hotel at 12 p.m, don't be late. What, 12 p.m, 12 p.m. today? Yes. Today. Chong Ji, why didn't you inform me earlier? It's already almost 11 am. What do you mean I didn't inform you earlier? Aren't I telling you an hour in advance? An hour, that isn't even enough for me to travel there, furthermore I have to dress and do my makeup. Those are your problems, don't annoy me, I'm very busy now, I'm hanging up. Having finished her words, she hung up immediately. Chong. You. Ning Xi threw her phone. After saying so, Ning Xi froze. Little Treasure was stunned. Lu Tingxiao was also stunned. Ning Xi wiped her face, hating that she couldn't dig a hole to bury herself in. She had gotten too agitated and had forgotten that she was still in the Lu residence, and that she even had a little kid next to her. She had not intended to act like a demure lady in front of Lu Tingxiao anyway, but it would be bad if she was a bad influence on Little Treasure. She coughed twice. Little Treasure, just take it that you never heard that just now. You absolutely cannot learn from Auntie's example and scold people, because what Auntie was scolding just now was not a person. Ning Xi explained solemnly. Little Treasure blinked and nodded like he did not fully understand. Pub Future ads. A trace of humor flashed across Lu Tingxiao's eyes as he asked, what happened? Ning Xi gritted her teeth. The opening ceremony for Land Under Heaven starts today at 12 p.m. It's almost 11 a.m. but my manager only called to inform me just now. It takes at least 50 minutes to reach Grand Pearl Hotel from here, don't tell me I need to appear on camera barefaced. Why not? Your bare face is enough. Ning Xi was stunned for a moment, she had not expected that Lu Tingxiao would actually be this smooth. She scratched her head, coughing once in embarrassment. Thanks for the compliment, Mr. Lu, but it's considered rude if I don't put on basic makeup at the very least at these kinds of events. Most importantly, I don't have any appropriate clothes at the moment and there'll be so many media outlets there. This is so frustrating. Wait for a moment. Lu Tingxiao raised his hand and indicated for her to stay calm, then took his phone to the courtyard to make a call. 10 minutes later, someone arrived, panting out of breath. CEO Lu, I've brought all the stuff you wanted, are we starting right now? The newcomer was wearing jeans with holes and a grey cotton jacket, and had a striking dark blue earring on his left ear. Ning Xi was surprised to find that he was actually a familiar face. Of course, familiar face meaning that Ning Xi recognized him, but he did not recognize Ning Xi at all. He was a makeup artist known as the Godly Hand under Golden Age Entertainment and the personal makeup artist of the famous actress, Su Yumo, Arthur. He was someone famous that a small fry like her could only gaze at from afar. This is... Ning Xi's face was full of suspicion. You don't recognize him? Lu Tingxiao asked. Of course I recognize the famous Arthur. But what did you call him over for? To style you, naturally. Lu Tingxiao said as if it was a matter of course. Ning Xi's head was full of black lines momentarily. She moved closer to Lu Tingxiao's ear and said softly, You're actually making someone from Golden Age Entertainment style me? Are you sure? Don't you know that I'm under Starlight Entertainment? Golden Age and Starlight are dead rivals. Okay. So what? Lu Tingxiao replied like the domineering CEO he was. Chapter 29, Soon to be Lady Boss. So what? Ning Xi choked, feeling speechless. Big Boss Lu, do your employees know that you are using your company's people to help artists from other companies? They evidently did not. This famous makeup artist had definitely never heard of her considering how unknown she was. She really wanted to kneel to Lu Tingxiao. Golden Age Entertainment was one of the subsidiaries of the Lu Corporation at the very least. Although Lu Jingli was managing Golden Age now, the boss behind the scenes was the Lu Corporation's Lu Tingxiao. The Lu Corporation began to get involved with the entertainment industry 5 years ago and bought over Golden Age Entertainment, creating an entertainment empire. They were even able to compete directly with the oldest, leading company in the industry, Starlight Entertainment. From this, you could see how fierce the competition was between the two companies. Their employees from artistes to managers to assistants, makeup artists and stylists could never mix. If there were artistes from both companies present on the same set, there would definitely be some sparks flying. Liu Tingxiao looked at his watch. The minivan is at the door, you can do your makeup and styling on the way there and you'll make it in time. It's up to you whether you want to go or not. Ning Xi was so conflicted that her intestines started to hurt, but she still gritted her teeth. I'm going. Since Liu Tingxiao wasn't bothered about it, then she wouldn't care about it either. Seeing that Liu Tingxiao had followed along, she was surprised. You're going too? Who else is going to drive? Little Treasure wants to stay a little longer with you as well. He was using that matter-of-fact tone again, as if whatever he said was truth and she was only asking silly questions. Little Treasure nodded vigorously. Okay. In the end, all four of them got on the minivan, together with the stylist Arthur. Liu Tingxiao didn't even change out of his clothes. He continued driving in his casual homeware while Ning Xi and Arthur sat in the back, with Little Treasure watching them curiously as he sprawled over his seat. Arthur carefully looked over Ning Xi once, his gaze showing great appreciation. This lady has perfect features and amazing skin, I don't need to do much. I'll just put on some light makeup. What occasion are you going to today, miss? I need to choose the right clothes for you. It's just an opening ceremony for a movie. Ning Xi was deathly afraid that she would get beaten up if he found out that she was from Starlight. Luckily, Arthur didn't ask much, he only nodded to show that he understood and continued to do her makeup. When they were close to the location of the opening ceremony, Ning Xi had been fully made up from top to toe, they had grasped the timing very well. Liu Tingxiao stopped the car, then turned to look at the woman behind, with his arm on the back of his seat. How is it? Ning Xi asked, a little nervous. Not bad. It wasn't easy to get such a compliment from someone as taciturn as Liu Tingxiao. Furthermore, Little Treasure was tilting his head and looking at her with an awestruck expression. Ning Xi was suddenly brimming with confidence and she hugged Little Treasure apologetically. Darling, I'm so sorry I couldn't keep my word. But Auntie promises you that I'll quickly return to accompany you after work. Pub Future ads. Little Treasure hugged her for a moment before reluctantly letting go and waving goodbye, knowing that she was rushing for time. Looking at the pair of father and son behind her, Ning Xi's heart was filled with warmth. After battling like a lone soldier for so long, it was the first time she had had such a warm feeling. Since Ning Xi had left, the driver's position was naturally left to Arthur. Arthur could no longer hold back his nosiness and carefully asked as he drove, Boss, who was that lady just now? Is she one of the new recruits of our company? How come I haven't seen her before? Damn! Their big boss actually had a woman at his side, this was mind-blowing news. Liu Tingxiao supported his chin, answering leisurely, an artiste from Starlight. Arthur. In an instant, Arthur looked as sour as if he had eaten a lemon. Big boss! You actually let me style an artiste from Starlight. Why is our boss working for the other side? Even our second young master doesn't date anyone from Starlight, okay? If the person sitting here had been the second young master, he would have let loose a string of ranting. However, this was the great evil king Liu Tingxiao. He could only hold it in, not even daring to let out a single peep of complaint even if it killed him. Something else that he couldn't say out was, that unknown Starlight artiste wasn't going to become their soon-to-be lady boss, right? After all, this woman was even able to win over the little prince. She definitely wasn't simple. Chapter 30, Opening Ceremony. At the opening ceremony of Land Under Heaven, the cast and crew members were all assembled, lights were flashing one after another, and there were numerous media outlets there. There was even a huge group of fans in the outer ring who had come after hearing the news. Most of the media outlets were surrounding the female lead, Ning Xueluo, and the male lead, Zhao Sizhu. One of them was the shining star of Starlight Entertainment, while the other was the famous star who had won an Oscar. The pairing of a suave man with a beauty naturally drew the attention of everyone. Swallow, we all know that this is your second time acting as a couple with Sizhu on screen. Would you also give your heart to a man like Sizhu in real life? Haha, Sizhu is indeed attractive, but that won't happen. I don't have any space left in my heart for him. The media was clamoring after hearing so. Ning Swallow had publicly announced that she had a boyfriend a year ago. Various people had gone digging for insider news and found out that her boyfriend was actually the son of the Yifeng Corporation's CEO, Su Hongguang. He had both status and money, and even had good looks to boot. Everyone had been filled with envy. Although the fans had been upset, fans were not as averse to marriage these days as compared to the past. Most fans even hoped that their idol would find someone good to marry. Ning Swallow's popularity had not declined in the slightest after revealing that she had a lover. Conversely, she had maintained her popularity with topics like handsome and rich boyfriend and winner at life. Zhao Sizhu, who was at her side, was good at following up. He immediately held his chest as if his heart hurt. Miss Shangguan, how heartless of you! This king has already given you everything along with my heart. The female lead that Ning Swallow was acting as this time was a girl called Shangguan Yingrong, while Zhao Sizhu was acting as a prince. Hearing so, the reporters laughed along and teased Zhao Sizhu with a warm air. Other than the actors for the male and female leads, the actress for the supporting female lead was the one that everyone had their eyes on. A crowd was surrounding Guo Qixin. Director Guo, where's the actress for Meng Chang'e? Will she be here today? Of course. Pub Future ads. Is it true that you rejected Jia Qingqing because she wasn't beautiful enough when she came to audition for this role? They were clearly out to cause trouble by asking such questions. However, Director Guo was an old hand. He spoke smoothly. We do have a high standard regarding looks for a role like Meng Chang'e, but appearance is only one of the criteria we use to judge suitability for the role. There was no problem with Jia Qingqing's appearance, but she did not match what we were looking for in terms of feeling. We've heard that the one playing Meng Chang'e is a rookie. Since Meng Chang'e is such a demanding role, suddenly choosing to use a rookie for this, will she be able to completely fulfill the expectations? What was wrong with the reporters today? Had they not given enough bonuses to them? Their questions were clearly out to attack them, and were even focused on the supporting female lead. For that question, please wait until our movie is out, just wait and see. The reporters were still unwilling to let go of the question and asked aggressively, Director Guo, is the actress for Meng Chang'e prettier than Jia Qingqing? Haven't they said enough? Yes. She's more beautiful than Jia Qingqing. So what if she's a beauty of 100 years? Wait till all of you see Ning Xi, let's see if you still dare to praise Jia Qingqing's looks. About this, they all have their own merits, you'll know once she's here. Guo Qixin was starting to get annoyed by all these questions. At this moment, glancing over the heads of all the reporters, he spotted someone appearing at the start of the red carpet. He was stunned for at least 3 seconds before he regained his senses, and he smiled as he said, well, look at this, speak of the devil.